Have you ever met someone for the very first time, yet something inside you whispered, "I know you"? Not because you recognized their face, not because they reminded you of someone from your past, but because the moment your eyes met, your chest tightened, your breath changed, and your heart reacted before your mind could explain anything. You didn't choose to feel it. You didn't plan it. Simply happened. And the strangest part is this: no matter how logical you are, no matter how grounded or skeptical you consider yourself to be, no matter how hard you try to rationalize it afterward, your heart already made its decision. This is where the twin flame journey often begins. Not with romance, not with attraction, not even with love as we usually define it, but with recognition. A recognition that does not come from memory, but from resonance. Most people are taught that connection begins in the mind. We analyze compatibility, we observe behavior, we evaluate chemistry, values, timing, and potential outcomes. But twin flame connections break this sequence completely. Before you can think, before you can label, before you can protect yourself, your heart opens or trembles without permission. And that is often the most confusing part, because how can something feel so familiar when you've never shared a history? How can someone feel so close when they are objectively a stranger? Why does your chest feel warm, heavy, electric, or exposed, as if something ancient has been activated? And why, no matter how hard you try to push the feeling away, does it return again and again, quietly, persistently, patiently? Here is the truth most people are not prepared to hear. Twin flame recognition does not happen through thinking. It happens through the heart's intelligence. Your heart knows patterns your mind has forgotten. It remembers energetic signatures. It recognizes frequency, not form. Long before language existed, long before social identity, long before trauma taught us to close ourselves, the heart was already a sensing organ. And when a twin flame enters your field, the heart reacts instinctively, not because it wants something, but because it recognizes itself. This is why so many twin flame encounters begin with confusion. You might ask yourself, why do I feel exposed around this person? Why do I feel calm and unsettled at the same time? Why does silence with them feel louder than conversation with anyone else? Why does my body react before my thoughts? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, why does this feel like home, and danger, and truth, all at once? These reactions are not random, they are not coincidence, and they are not weakness. They are signs that your heart center has been activated. Unlike ordinary relationships, twin flame connections bypass the usual emotional filters. There is no slow buildup, no gradual attachment, no polite emotional distance. Instead, there is immediacy, a sudden sense of being seen, not observed but recognized. A feeling that you cannot hide even if you want to. An awareness that this person touches parts of you you didn't even know were still alive. This is why many people feel overwhelmed at the beginning, because the heart, once activated, does not negotiate. It does not bargain. It does not ask for guarantees. It does not care about timing or logic. The heart responds to truth. And here is where many people misunderstand the experience. They assume the intensity means romance. They assume the pull means attachment. They assume the connection means possession or destiny in a conventional sense. But the heart's recognition is not about ownership. It is about alignment. Your heart senses a frequency that matches its own, a vibration that mirrors its wounds, its capacity for love, its unhealed spaces, and its highest potential. This is why twin flame connections often feel both beautiful and terrifying, because they don't just awaken love. They awaken everything. At this stage, many people try to regain control. They analyze the interaction. They replay conversations. They search for explanations. They ask others for opinions. They attempt to define what this connection means, but the more you try to contain it mentally, the more unsettled you feel. Why? Because this experience was never meant to be understood first. It was meant to be felt. The heart operates in a different language, communicates through sensations, intuition, emotional resonance, and subtle energetic shifts. When the heart recognizes a twin flame, it is not asking your mind for approval. It is inviting you into awareness. And awareness is uncomfortable, because awareness removes illusions. Suddenly you become aware of how guarded you are, how often you love with conditions, how deeply you fear vulnerability, how much of your heart you've kept locked away. This is why the initial twin flame encounter can feel destabilizing. It confronts you with a version of yourself that exists beneath your defenses, a version that remembers how to feel deeply, how to open without guarantees, how to resonate without control. And for many people, this is the first time in years or lifetimes that their heart has been truly awake. Let me ask you something gently. Have you ever noticed that with certain people, you can perform, impress, and manage your image, but with one specific person, you feel transparent, as if they can sense your emotional state without asking, as if pretending becomes exhausting, as if your usual strategies simply don't work? That is not coincidence. That is the heart responding to resonance rather than role. The mind is trained to survive. The heart is designed to connect. When twin flame energy enters your life, it bypasses survival mechanisms. It speaks directly to the part of you that longs to be real rather than protected. And this is why the beginning feels so intense. Not because the other person is overwhelming, but because your heart is finally allowed to speak. So if you are at the beginning of this journey, and you feel confused, emotional, awakened, unsettled, or exposed, there is nothing wrong with you. You are not losing control. You are not imagining things. And you are not weak. You are simply experiencing what happens when the heart remembers its own frequency, before labels, before expectations, before outcomes. This is the doorway, not to union yet, but to awakening. And in the next part we will explore why twin flame connections do not begin in the mind at all, but in the heart's vibration, where love is not an emotion, but a frequency. And the moment your heart recognizes that frequency, everything begins to change. After the initial recognition, after the moment when your heart reacted before your thoughts, most people do what they've been trained to do their entire lives. They try to understand it. They replay the encounter. They analyze words, gestures, eye contact. They search for logic, patterns, and explanations. They ask themselves, why did I feel this? What does it mean? Where is this going? And this is where confusion often deepens, because twin flame connections do not follow mental rules. They are not built through evaluation. They are not sustained through reasoning. They are not resolved through overthinking. They arise from the heart, and the heart operates on an entirely different system. The mind connects through comparison. The heart connects through resonance. The mind is a tool for survival. Compares. It categorizes. It judges safety and risk. It learns from past experiences and tries to avoid pain. When you meet someone new, the mind immediately goes to work. Do they fit my preferences? Do they align with my values? Do they remind me of someone who hurt me before? Is this safe? Is this familiar? Is this useful? Most relationships are formed this way. Slowly, cautiously, conditionally. But twin flame connections do not enter through comparison. They enter through resonance. Resonance does not ask, is this good for me? It asks, is this true? And truth, when felt through the heart, is immediate. Why the heart recognizes before the mind can respond. The heart is not emotional in the way people assume. It is energetic. It senses vibration, coherence, and alignment. It reads subtle signals far beyond language or logic. This is why you can feel calm around someone, without knowing why. This is why you can feel unsettled, even when nothing wrong has happened. Your heart is not reacting to behavior. It is reacting to frequency. Twin flames share a deeply similar energetic signature. Not because they are identical in personality, but because they originate from the same core frequency of consciousness. When two matching frequencies come into proximity, they amplify each other, and the heart feels this amplification instantly. The mind, however, lags behind. Because the mind needs data, the heart needs only alignment. The discomfort of heart-based connection. Here is something rarely discussed. Heart-based recognition is uncomfortable for people who have learned to live in their heads. If you are used to control, analysis, emotional self-protection, and predictability, the heart's response can feel threatening. Not because the connection is dangerous, but because it removes your usual defenses. The heart does not filter truth. It opens or contracts in response to authenticity. This is why twin flame encounters often feel raw. You may feel exposed without knowing why, drawn in while simultaneously wanting to run, emotionally activated without a clear reason, deeply seen even in silence. And the mind panics because it cannot manage what it does not understand. Why thinking does not create union. Many people believe that if they can just figure it out, the connection will stabilize. They try to define the relationship. They seek labels. They want clarity, timelines, and guarantees. But union cannot be created through understanding. Union is not an agreement between minds. It is a state of energetic coherence between hearts. This is why forcing communication, seeking validation, or trying to control the outcome often creates resistance instead of closeness. The mind pushes, the heart responds by closing, and the connection appears to pull away. The heart opens only in safety, not control. Here is the paradox of twin flame dynamics. The more you try to control the connection, the more it destabilizes. The more you release control, the more alignment becomes possible. Why? Because the heart opens in safety, not pressure. Pressure activates fear. Fear contracts the heart. A contracted heart cannot sustain resonance. This is why twin flame journeys often include distance, separation, or silence. Not as punishment, not as failure, but as a signal that the heart needs space to recalibrate. Why you feel more when you stop thinking. Have you noticed that the moments of deepest connection often happen when nothing is said? A look, a pause, a shared breath, a moment of stillness. These moments bypass the mind. They occur when thinking softens and presence takes over. The heart communicates through presence. This is why telepathic sensations often increase. When you stop trying to analyze the connection, you feel their emotions. You sense shifts in energy. You become aware of changes without explanation. This is not fantasy. It is heart-based perception. The heart as a mirror. One of the most challenging aspects of twin flame connections is that the heart does not just recognize love. It recognizes everything. Unhealed wounds, suppressed grief, fear of abandonment, fear of vulnerability, fear of losing control. When your heart resonates with another's frequency, it reflects your inner state with brutal honesty. This is why twin flames trigger each other so deeply. Not because they intend to hurt, but because the heart cannot hide from resonance. And the mind once again tries to intervene. It rationalizes. It defends. It creates stories. But the heart is simply showing you what is ready to be seen. A question you may want to ask yourself. At this stage of the journey, ask yourself gently, am I trying to understand this connection? Or am I allowing myself to feel it? Am I listening to my heart? Or am I trying to make my mind feel safe? Am I seeking union? Or am I seeking control disguised as clarity? These questions are not meant to judge you. They are meant to bring awareness. The shift from thinking to feeling. Twin flame growth begins. Not when you figure the connection out, but when you stop resisting what your heart is showing you. This does not mean abandoning logic. It means letting the heart lead. When the heart leads, the mind becomes a supporter rather than a dictator. And only then can true alignment begin. In the next part, we will explore love vibration, why love is not just an emotion, but a measurable frequency, and how twin flames amplify each other's vibration through the heart. Because once you understand that love is a state of being, rather than something you chase, you begin to experience connection, without force, without fear, and without loss of self, and that is where real transformation begins. At some point on the twin flame journey, many people realize something unsettling. This connection does not behave like ordinary love. It doesn't respond to effort, it doesn't grow through persuasion, and it cannot be sustained by attachment alone. Instead, it responds to something far more subtle: your inner state. This is where the concept of love vibration becomes essential. Because twin flame connections are not held together by emotion, they are held together by frequency. What is love vibration? Love in its truest form is not merely a feeling that comes and goes. It is a state of coherence, a vibrational alignment between your thoughts, emotions, body, and energy field. When people speak of love as an emotion, they are often referring to reactions: excitement, desire, longing, fear of loss, attachment, validation. These emotional waves fluctuate constantly, but love vibration exists beneath them. It is stable, expansive, and non-grasping. And twin flames recognize each other at this level, before emotion, before story, before identity. Why twin flames respond to vibration, not effort? In most relationships, effort creates closeness. You communicate more. You spend more time together. You compromise. You invest energy outwardly. But twin flame dynamics often behave in the opposite way. The more you try to hold the connection, the more unstable it becomes. Why? Because effort driven by fear lowers vibration. Fear tightens the body. Fear narrows perception. Fear contracts the heart, and contraction disrupts resonance. Twin flames are magnetized through coherence, not pursuit. When your inner state shifts into alignment, the connection responds naturally. How vibration is felt in the body. Love vibration is not abstract. It is experienced physically. You may notice a warmth in the chest, a sense of expansion in the breath, a softening of tension in the shoulders, a calm alertness rather than excitement, a feeling of fullness without needing anything. This is not emotional intensity. It is energetic stability. And twin flames can sense this stability in each other instantly. This is why one person's inner work often affects the other without contact. Because vibration travels through resonance, not proximity. The paradox. Why wanting too much pushes twin flames apart? One of the most painful realizations on this path is this. Longing is not the same as love vibration. Longing carries lack. Lack carries contraction. Contraction distorts frequency. When you desire union from a place of emptiness, you unconsciously send a signal of need rather than wholeness. Twin flame energy responds by creating distance, not to punish, but to restore balance. Distance forces introspection. Silence reveals attachment. Separation exposes inner misalignment. This is why twin flame separations often feel unbearable, not because love is gone, but because vibration is out of sync. Why resistance creates pain? Resistance is one of the most misunderstood aspects of the twin flame journey. Resistance sounds like, I shouldn't feel this way. This is too intense. I need clarity now. I can't let go. This shouldn't be happening. Resistance creates internal friction, and friction disrupts vibration. The more you resist what you feel, the louder the experience becomes. Not because the connection is overpowering, but because your system is fighting coherence. Love vibration flows when there is allowance, not passivity, but acceptance. Love vibration versus emotional high. Many people confuse love vibration with emotional highs, but emotional highs are unstable. They spike then crash. They depend on interaction. They create dependency. Love vibration is quieter. It feels grounded, centered, open. You may feel deeply connected even without communication. You may feel peace instead of urgency. You may feel trust instead of anxiety. This is why twin flame love often feels unfamiliar. It doesn't stimulate the nervous system in the way trauma bonding does. Calms it. How twin flames amplify each other's vibration. When two similar frequencies interact, they amplify. This amplification brings light, but it also brings shadows. If your vibration is rooted in self-love, presence, and openness, the connection feels expansive. If your vibration is rooted in fear, insecurity, or control, those patterns intensify. This is why twin flame connections feel transformative and sometimes overwhelming. They accelerate growth. They force honesty. They make it impossible to remain unconscious. Why healing raises vibration automatically? You do not raise your vibration by thinking positively. You raise it by releasing resistance, by feeling emotions without suppression, by honoring boundaries, by choosing self-respect, by allowing grief to move through, by softening instead of hardening. As you heal, your vibration stabilizes, and when vibration stabilizes, the connection responds without effort. This is why focusing solely on the other person never works. The twin flame journey is not about reaching them. It is about returning to yourself. A gentle question to reflect on. Ask yourself honestly, when I think about this connection, do I feel expansion or contraction? Do I feel open or tight? Do I feel grounded or restless? These sensations tell you everything about your vibration. And vibration is what the twin flame connection responds to. Not words, not intentions, not promises. Love as a state of being. The most radical shift on the twin flame path is realizing that love is not something you generate toward another. It is something you become. When you embody love vibration, you stop chasing, you stop waiting, you stop needing proof. You begin attracting alignment naturally. And whether union manifests externally or not, you experience union internally. This is the foundation of true twin flame union. Not possession, not attachment, but resonance. In the next part, we will move deeper into the heart chakra, the energetic center that allows love vibration to flow freely. Because when the heart opens without fear, love no longer destabilizes you. It becomes your natural state. And from that state, everything aligns. If love vibration is the frequency that twin flames respond to, then the heart chakra is the gateway through which that frequency flows. Without an open heart, vibration cannot stabilize. Without a balanced heart, resonance cannot be sustained. This is why every twin flame journey eventually leads back to one core lesson: the healing of the heart. Not the romantic heart, not the emotional heart, but the energetic center that bridges your humanity and your soul. What is the heart chakra really about? The heart chakra is often misunderstood. Many people associate it only with love, kindness, or compassion. But its true function is far more profound. The heart chakra is the meeting point. It sits between the lower chakras, which govern survival, attachment, fear, and desire, the upper chakras, which govern intuition, awareness, and spiritual truth. This makes the heart chakra a bridge. It translates spiritual awareness into human experience, and it transforms emotional pain into wisdom. In twin flame connections, this bridge is activated intensely, sometimes too intensely for an unprepared nervous system. Why twin flames activate the heart so deeply? Twin flames do not primarily trigger desire. They trigger truth, and truth passes through the heart. When your heart chakra encounters a matching frequency, it begins to open, sometimes suddenly, sometimes painfully. This opening can feel like a deep ache in the chest, sudden emotional vulnerability, waves of compassion mixed with fear, a longing that is not sexual or romantic but existential, a sense of exposure, as if your emotional armor has dissolved. This is not weakness. This is the heart responding to resonance. Open heart versus safe heart. Here is a crucial distinction. An open heart is not the same as a safe heart. Many people have learned to open their hearts without safety, and they paid for it with betrayal, abandonment, or emotional loss. So they adapted. They learned to love cautiously. They learned to give selectively. They learned to protect themselves. But twin flame energy does not respond to guarded openness. It responds to authentic openness. This creates a paradox. To experience union, the heart must open. But opening the heart feels unsafe if it has been wounded before. This is why twin flame journeys surface old pain so powerfully. Not to hurt you, but to heal the conditions that prevent true openness. What a blocked heart chakra looks like in twin flame dynamics. When the heart chakra is blocked or imbalanced, twin flame connections often express as push-pull dynamics. You may experience intense longing followed by sudden withdrawal, desire for closeness paired with fear of vulnerability, idealization followed by disappointment, emotional shutdown after moments of intimacy. This is not inconsistency. It is the heart opening then closing out of fear. The heart wants connection. The nervous system wants protection. Until these two are reconciled, union cannot stabilize. Why the heart closes, and why it makes sense. A closed heart is not a failure. It is a survival response. Your heart closed because it learned that openness led to pain. Because love once cost too much. Because vulnerability was not met with safety. Twin flame energy does not judge this. It understands, but it also challenges it. Because twin flame union cannot exist behind armor. It requires presence, honesty, and emotional availability. Not perfection but willingness. The difference between emotional attachment and heart opening. This is where many people get confused. Emotional attachment can feel like openness, but it often originates from fear. Fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of being alone, fear of not being chosen. Heart opening, by contrast, originates from trust. Not trust in another person, but trust in yourself. Trust that you can feel without collapsing. Trust that you can love without losing your center. Trust that vulnerability does not equal weakness. Twin flames do not come to reinforce attachment. They come to dissolve it. How the heart chakra heals through the twin flame connection. The heart chakra heals through exposure. Not exposure to harm, but exposure to truth. Twin flame connections expose where you give too much, where you withhold love, where you abandon yourself to be chosen, where you close to avoid pain, where you confuse love with suffering. This exposure can feel destabilizing, but it is surgical, not cruel. The heart is being recalibrated. Signs your heart chakra is opening. As healing progresses, you may notice subtle shifts. You feel compassion without self-sacrifice. You can love without needing reassurance. You feel connected without obsession. You allow space without panic. You experience warmth instead of ache in the chest. You feel love as presence, not pursuit. These are signs of heart coherence. And coherence is what sustains twin flame resonance. The heart as a center of self-union. Here is the truth that changes everything. Twin flame union does not begin with another person. It begins with self-union. When your heart chakra is balanced, you stop seeking completion externally. You become whole within yourself. And from wholeness, connection becomes a choice, not a need. This is why many people experience a shift. As they heal their heart, they feel less desperate for union. Yet paradoxically, alignment becomes easier, because vibration stabilizes. A reflective question for you. Ask yourself gently, do I open my heart hoping to receive, or because I am already full? Do I fear vulnerability, or do I fear losing control? Am I protecting my heart from pain, or from truth? These questions are not meant to be answered intellectually. Let your body respond. The heart speaks through sensation. Why the heart is the final gate. Many people focus on manifestation, timing, or outcomes. But twin flame journeys are not about reaching a destination. They are about becoming a state. And the heart chakra is the final gate to that state. When the heart opens without fear, love flows without attachment. When love flows freely, resonance stabilizes. And when resonance stabilizes, union, internal or external, becomes natural. In the next part, we will explore telepathic feeling, the subtle, often misunderstood way twin flames communicate beyond words. Because when the heart is open, connection no longer depends on distance, time, or explanation. Simply is. When the heart chakra opens, and love vibration stabilizes, communication changes. Words become secondary. Distance becomes irrelevant. Silence becomes expressive. This is where many twin flames encounter something they struggle to explain. Telepathic feeling. Not the dramatic cinematic kind. Not voices in the head or supernatural messages, but a subtle embodied knowing. A sense. A pull. A shift in energy that arrives without invitation, and without explanation. What telepathic feeling really is. Telepathic feeling is not mind-to-mind communication. It is heart-to-heart resonance. It occurs when two energetic systems are tuned to the same frequency, and the heart centers are open enough to transmit and receive information, without distortion. This information does not arrive as language. It arrives as a sudden emotion that isn't yours, a wave of sadness, peace, or warmth without cause, a strong urge to reach out just before they do, a physical sensation in the chest or body, a knowing that something has shifted in them. This is not imagination. It is perception without interpretation. Why twin flames experience this more intensely? Twin flames share a deeply similar energetic blueprint. When two such systems connect, their heart fields overlap. This overlap creates coherence, and coherence allows information to travel efficiently. Just as two tuning forks vibrating at the same frequency, cause each other to resonate across space, twin flames affect each other's emotional and energetic states, without direct interaction. This is why telepathic feeling often intensifies during separation. Without physical contact or communication, there is less interference from the mind. The heart becomes the primary receiver. Common telepathic experiences in twin flame connections. While each journey is unique, many report similar patterns. Feeling their emotions suddenly and intensely, knowing when they are thinking about you, experiencing emotional shifts that later align with their life events. Dream state communication that feels more real than waking thoughts. A calm certainty during difficult periods, as if reassurance arrives without words. These experiences are often dismissed because they defy logic, but they follow energetic principles. Why the mind doubts telepathy? The mind is designed to protect you from uncertainty. Telepathic feeling removes certainty. There is no proof, no confirmation, no control. So the mind reacts with skepticism. It labels the experience as fantasy, projection, or wishful thinking. But here is the key difference. Fantasy stimulates excitement. Telepathic feeling brings stillness. It does not agitate the nervous system. It grounds. The role of the heart chakra in telepathic communication. The heart chakra acts as a transmitter and receiver. When open and balanced, it allows emotional and energetic data to pass without distortion. When blocked, communication becomes chaotic. You may feel confused emotions, misinterpretation, anxiety mistaken for intuition, attachment disguised as connection. This is why healing the heart is essential. Telepathic feeling is accurate only when the heart is coherent. Telepathy versus attachment. This distinction is critical. Attachment creates noise. Telepathy requires silence. If your system is dominated by longing, fear, or obsession, what you feel may not be true resonance. It may be projection. True telepathic feeling feels neutral, clear, and grounded. It does not demand action. It does not create urgency. It does not seek reassurance. It simply informs. Why telepathic feeling often comes in waves. You may notice that telepathic sensations are not constant. They come in waves. This is because resonance fluctuates. When both hearts are open and aligned, communication flows easily. When one heart closes due to fear, stress, or resistance, the signal weakens. This is not rejection. It is energetic self-regulation. The body as a translator. Telepathic feeling often manifests physically. Because the heart communicates through the body, you may experience tightness or warmth in the chest, changes in breathing, sudden fatigue or calm, emotional release without clear cause. These sensations are not random. They are how the nervous system translates energetic information. Why silence strengthens the connection. This may seem counterintuitive, but silence often deepens twin flame communication. Without constant interaction, the mind quiets. And when the mind quiets, the heart becomes audible. This is why forced communication often creates confusion. Words distort frequency. Presence clarifies it. A question to ask yourself. When you feel something connected to them, ask gently, does this feeling feel calm or urgent? Does it bring clarity or anxiety? Does it ground me or destabilize me? Your body knows the difference. Telepathic feeling stabilizes. Attachment destabilizes. The purpose of telepathic connection. Telepathy is not meant to replace communication. It is meant to cultivate trust. Trust in perception. Trust in intuition. Trust in inner knowing. And ultimately, trust in yourself. Twin flame journeys teach self-trust above all else. Because without it, resonance collapses into fear. When telepathy fades, many people fear losing telepathic connection. But fading does not mean loss. It often signals integration. As you embody alignment internally, you rely less on sensing the other. You become whole. And from wholeness, connection becomes effortless. Telepathy as a mirror of inner state. The clarity of telepathic feeling mirrors your inner alignment. When you are centered, you sense clearly. When you are fragmented, signals blur. This is why inner work is essential. The connection reflects your coherence. Telepathic feeling is not about controlling the connection. It is about surrendering to truth. When the heart opens, communication transcends words. And when communication transcends words, connection becomes presence rather than pursuit. One of the most striking signs of a twin flame connection is not intensity, it is ease. Not the kind of ease that comes from familiarity built over time, but the kind that exists instantly, before history, before trust has logically formed, before the mind has any explanation. This is what many people describe as instant harmony, a sense that something is already aligned, without needing adjustment. The moment of meeting, when everything softens. For many twin flames, the first meeting is not dramatic. There may be no fireworks, no overwhelming attraction, no dramatic declaration. Instead, there is a subtle but unmistakable shift. The body relaxes, the breath deepens, the nervous system settles. Feels as if something inside you says, I can rest here. This is not excitement. It is recognition without effort. And that distinction matters. Why instant harmony feels so unusual? Most relationships begin with tension. You monitor yourself. You choose your words carefully. You present a version of yourself that feels acceptable. There is performance. But with a twin flame, performance collapses almost immediately. Not because you decide to be vulnerable, but because vulnerability happens naturally. You may notice. You speak more slowly or more honestly. You don't feel the need to impress. You are less self-conscious. You forget to manage how you appear. This is not carelessness. It is safety. The body knows before the story begins. Instant harmony is primarily physical. You may feel a warmth spreading through the chest, a sense of grounded presence, a soft focus rather than heightened alertness, a feeling of being emotionally met. These sensations are subtle but clear. They signal nervous system coherence. Your body is not preparing for defense or attraction. It is recognizing alignment. Why silence feels comfortable? One of the clearest examples of instant harmony is how silence behaves. With most people, silence creates discomfort. You rush to fill it. You feel awkward. You interpret it as disconnection. With a twin flame, silence feels full, not empty. You can sit together without talking and feel more connected than in conversation. This happens because silence removes mental interference, and the heart communicates best without noise. A real-life example. When nothing needs to be said. Imagine two people sitting together after meeting for the first time. There is no urgency to speak, no anxiety about pauses. Instead, there is a shared presence. Both are aware of each other, not intellectually, but energetically. Later, one of them might say, "It felt like we had known each other for years." But that description is still incomplete. It wasn't familiarity from memory. It was familiarity from frequency. Why this feels like home? Many people describe instant harmony as feeling at home. This is often misunderstood. It does not mean comfort without growth. It means truth without resistance. Home is where you don't have to pretend, and twin flame energy removes the need for pretense. Not because it demands honesty, but because dishonesty feels unnecessary. The absence of strategy. Another sign of instant harmony is the absence of strategy. You are not trying to define the relationship. You are not wondering how to behave. You are not calculating next steps. You are simply present. This presence is rare. And because it is rare, many people misinterpret it as destiny or romance. But it is deeper than that. It is alignment. Why this can feel disorienting. Instant harmony can feel unsettling, especially if you are used to relationships built on effort. Your mind may ask, why does this feel so easy? Why am I not anxious? Why am I not trying? Ease feels suspicious to people conditioned through struggle. But ease is not danger. It is coherence. When instant harmony is followed by fear, often after the initial harmony, fear arises, not because the connection changes, but because the mind catches up. The mind says, "This is too easy. This is too open. This could hurt." And so defenses return. This is where many twin flame dynamics shift. But the initial harmony was real. It revealed what is possible when the heart leads. A subtle but important detail. Instant harmony does not mean constant agreement. Twin flames may disagree. They may trigger each other later. They may experience separation. But beneath conflict, the harmony remains. It is not emotional agreement. It is energetic alignment. The difference between chemistry and harmony. Chemistry excites the nervous system. Harmony stabilizes it. Chemistry creates craving. Harmony creates grounding. Chemistry asks, "How do I keep this?" Harmony says, "This already is." Twin flame connections are often mistaken for chemistry. But those who experience true instant harmony recognize the difference immediately. A question for you. When you think about that person, ask yourself, did I feel the need to become someone else? Or did I feel permission to be myself? Did I feel heightened anxiety? Or a quiet sense of ease? Your answers reveal the nature of the connection. Why instant harmony matters. Instant harmony is not the goal. It is the signal. Shows what alignment feels like before fear interferes. It shows what connection becomes when the heart is allowed to lead. And once you have experienced it, you cannot unfeel it. It becomes a reference point. The invitation hidden in harmony. Instant harmony invites you to ask, what would my life feel like if I lived from this state? Not chasing, not proving, not protecting, but present. This is the deeper purpose of the twin flame journey. Not union with another, but reunion with yourself. If instant harmony is the doorway, deep empathy is what lies beyond it. This is where many people realize that the twin flame connection is not just about feeling comfortable together. It is about feeling each other. Not intellectually, not symbolically, but internally. As if the boundary between my emotions and your emotions becomes thinner, more permeable, less clearly defined. This is often the point where the journey becomes impossible to dismiss. Because empathy this deep does not exist in ordinary relationships. What deep empathy actually feels like. Deep empathy is not sympathy. It is not understanding someone's pain because they told you about it. It is not imagining how they might feel. It is feeling it directly. You may experience sudden waves of sadness, anxiety, or heaviness with no personal trigger. Emotional shifts that do not match your current circumstances. Tears that arrive without a story. A strong urge to withdraw or rest without knowing why. A quiet inner knowing that something is happening with them. And later, sometimes days or weeks later, you may learn that your twin flame was going through something emotionally intense at that exact time. This is not coincidence. This is empathic resonance. Why twin flame empathy is so intense? Most people experience empathy through imagination. Twin flames experience it through shared energetic space. When two hearts resonate at a similar frequency, their emotional fields overlap. This overlap allows emotional information to move freely, without needing translation. It is not that you are absorbing their emotions. It is that your heart recognizes the emotional movement, as if it were happening within the same field. This is why the empathy feels immediate and embodied. The shock of feeling someone else's pain. For many, the first experience of deep empathy is unsettling. You may ask yourself, why do I feel like this? This emotion doesn't belong to me. Why is my body reacting? The mind struggles because it cannot locate a cause. But the heart does not need a cause. It responds to connection. This is why twin flame empathy often feels overwhelming early on, especially if you are not used to feeling deeply, without explanation or control. Why you can feel them even when you don't want to. Another challenging aspect of deep empathy is that it does not respond to willpower. You cannot turn it off by deciding to stop caring. You cannot block it by distracting yourself. Because this empathy is not an action. It is a state of resonance. When the heart is open and attuned, perceives what is moving in the shared field, resistance only increases discomfort. Acceptance allows the sensation to pass. A real-life example. Feeling their struggle before they speak. Imagine waking up with an unexpected heaviness. Nothing is wrong in your life, yet your chest feels tight. Your energy feels low. Throughout the day, this feeling lingers. Later, you receive a message, or perhaps no message at all, but you eventually discover that your twin flame was dealing with emotional turmoil at that time. Many people try to rationalize this, but the consistency of these experiences tells another story. This is not imagination. It is empathic synchronization. Why empathy in twin flames is not always mutual at the same time. One important detail. Deep empathy is not always felt equally or simultaneously by both parties. This does not mean the connection is unbalanced. It means the hearts are at different stages of openness. When one twin flame is more emotionally available, they often feel the shared field more strongly. This can feel unfair or exhausting, but it serves a purpose. The purpose of deep empathy. Twin flame empathy is not meant to cause suffering. It is meant to accelerate awareness. When you feel another's pain, you are invited to examine your relationship with pain itself. Do you resist it? Do you judge it? Do you try to fix it? Or can you simply allow it to move through you? This is how empathy becomes healing rather than draining. The danger of confusing empathy with responsibility. One of the biggest pitfalls at this stage is mistaking empathy for responsibility. Feeling their pain does not mean you must fix them. You must sacrifice yourself. You must stay connected at all costs. You must carry what is not yours. Empathy is awareness, not obligation. True heart coherence includes boundaries. Without boundaries, empathy turns into self-abandonment. How deep empathy triggers inner healing. Here is the deeper truth. Often what you feel in them is something unresolved in yourself. Twin flame empathy works as a mirror. Their grief reflects your unexpressed grief. Their fear reflects your hidden fear. Their resistance reflects your own. This does not invalidate the connection. It reveals its function. You are not just feeling them. You are feeling what is ready to heal within you. Why healing one affects the other? Because the emotional field is shared. Healing is contagious. When one twin flame processes an emotion fully, without suppression or judgment, the resonance shifts. The shared field lightens. This is why one person's inner work often leads to unexpected changes in the other's behavior or emotional state. Not through effort, through alignment. The difference between pain and suffering in empathy. Pain is information. Suffering is resistance. When you feel empathy without resisting it, the sensation moves. When you resist, analyze, or fear it, the sensation lingers. Twin flame empathy teaches emotional fluidity. It teaches you to feel without drowning. A question to reflect on. When you feel something connected to them, ask, can I allow this feeling without needing to act? Can I stay present without taking responsibility? Can I trust that awareness alone is enough? These questions shift empathy from burden to wisdom. When deep empathy evolves into compassion, as healing progresses, empathy transforms. It becomes quieter, more spacious, less intense. You still sense the other, but without overwhelm. This is compassion. Compassion does not absorb pain. It holds space for it. This is the mature expression of the twin flame heart. Why deep empathy is a preparation for union. Union cannot exist without emotional attunement. But emotional attunement must be grounded. Deep empathy prepares you for this balance. It teaches you to feel deeply, without losing yourself. And that is essential. Deep empathy is not meant to bind you. It is meant to open you, to soften your defenses, to expand your emotional capacity, to teach you presence without control. When empathy matures into compassion, connection becomes peaceful rather than consuming. And that peace is the foundation upon which true union, internal or external, can stand. At a certain stage on the twin flame journey, something remarkable begins to happen. You realize that communication no longer depends on words. You may still speak, text, or interact in physical ways, but beneath all of that, there is a deeper channel that feels far more real. A channel that does not rely on language, logic, or explanation. This is heart-based telepathic connection. And while many people misunderstand telepathy as something mystical or supernatural, in the twin flame dynamic, it is actually very grounded, embodied, and emotional. It is not about hearing voices in your head. It is about feeling. The heart as a communication center. Most people are taught that the brain is the primary center of intelligence and perception. But modern research in neuroscience and psychophysiology now confirms something ancient spiritual traditions have always known. The heart has its own neural network, processes information, sends signals to the brain, and it generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the human body. From an energetic perspective, the heart chakra is not just the center of love. It is the bridge between the physical and the subtle, between the ego and the soul. When two people share a twin flame connection, their heart fields are naturally attuned to one another. This does not happen because they try to connect. It happens because, at a soul level, they already are connected. Telepathy is emotional resonance, not mind reading. One of the biggest misconceptions about twin flame telepathy is the idea that it means knowing someone's thoughts word for word. That is not how it works. Heart-based telepathy operates through emotional resonance. You suddenly feel sadness without knowing why. You experience a wave of warmth, peace, or longing that seems to come from nowhere. You wake up thinking of them at the exact moment they are thinking of you. You feel anxious, heavy, or unsettled, only to later discover they were going through emotional turmoil at that time. This is not coincidence. This is empathic synchronization through the heart. The heart does not communicate in sentences. It communicates in sensations, impulses, and emotional shifts. And when your heart is open, sensitive, and unclogged by fear, you become able to perceive these signals clearly. Why twin flames feel each other instantly? Have you ever noticed how, with your twin flame, emotions seem to transfer instantly? You can be in a good mood and suddenly feel a heaviness that doesn't belong to your current situation. Or you can feel inexplicably calm during a difficult moment, as if reassurance is flowing toward you from somewhere unseen. This happens because twin flames share an energetic feedback loop. Their heart centers are connected through resonance, not proximity. Distance does not weaken this connection. Time does not weaken it. In fact, separation often amplifies it, because when the ego structures fall away, the heart becomes the primary channel of contact. This is why many twin flames report stronger telepathic experiences during periods of no contact than when they are physically together. When the mind is no longer distracted by external interaction, the heart becomes louder. The role of vulnerability in telepathic bonding. Here is a crucial truth that many people overlook. Telepathic connection through the heart only deepens when vulnerability is present. When you suppress emotions, deny your truth, or armor your heart with control and fear, the signal weakens. Not because the connection is gone, but because you are no longer receptive. Twin flame telepathy is not something you can force. It emerges naturally when you allow yourself to feel without judgment. You stop trying to manage the outcome. You release the need to control the other person. You remain emotionally honest with yourself. The more authentic you are within your own heart, the clearer the connection becomes. And this can be both beautiful and uncomfortable, because when hearts are open, nothing can be hidden. Shared emotional waves and mirrored healing. One of the most intense aspects of twin flame heart telepathy is the experience of shared emotional waves. You may feel emotions that do not seem to originate from your personal history. Sudden grief, sudden anger, sudden fear, sudden longing. Often, these emotions are not meant to overwhelm you. They are invitations to heal. Twin flames act as mirrors not only in behavior, but in emotional patterns stored in the heart. When one person activates a deep wound, the resonance can trigger the same frequency in the other. This is why healing one heart helps heal both. Not because you are responsible for their healing, but because the shared frequency shifts. When you choose compassion over resentment, clarity over confusion, and love over fear, the energetic field between you recalibrates. And telepathic communication becomes calmer, clearer, and less chaotic. The silence between you is not empty. Many people fear silence in twin flame connections. They assume that no communication means disconnection. But this could not be further from the truth. Silence is often where the deepest heart communication occurs. In silence, you sense each other without interference. You feel presence without expectation. You receive insight without words. This is why twin flame connections often feel loud in stillness and quiet in conversation. Because words belong to the mind, and twin flames communicate primarily through the heart. Ask yourself, have you ever felt deeply understood by them without explaining anything? Have you ever felt comforted simply by knowing they exist? Have you ever felt guided, supported, or strengthened during moments when they were not physically present? These are signs of heart-based telepathic connection. When telepathy feels overwhelming, it is important to acknowledge that this level of connection can feel overwhelming, especially before emotional boundaries are established. Feeling someone else's pain, fear, or confusion can be exhausting. This does not mean the connection is unhealthy. It means the heart is open, but not yet regulated. The lesson here is not to close the heart. It is to ground it, to remain compassionate without absorbing, to witness without merging, to love without losing yourself. True union does not erase individuality, it harmonizes it. Reflective question. So ask yourself honestly, are you listening to the heart, or trying to understand the connection with the mind? Are you allowing emotions to flow, or attempting to label, analyze, and control them? Are you open to feeling beyond logic? Because the heart does not ask for proof. It asks for presence. Transition to the next layer. In the next part, we will explore what happens when heart telepathy matures into energetic coherence, when emotional resonance transforms into stability, peace, and grounded love. This is where chaos settles. This is where confusion dissolves. And this is where the twin flame connection shifts from intensity to integration. Because the ultimate purpose of heart-based telepathy is not obsession or longing. It is alignment. And alignment begins within. After experiencing heart-based telepathic connection, many twin flames reach a critical turning point. The intensity begins to ask something deeper of you. Not more longing, not more searching, not more emotional highs and lows, but stability. This is where the journey shifts from emotional turbulence into what is known as heart coherence. Heart coherence is not the absence of emotion. It is the harmonization of emotion. It is the moment when love stops feeling overwhelming and starts feeling grounded. And this stage is essential, because without heart coherence, union cannot stabilize. What is heart coherence? Heart coherence occurs when your emotional state, nervous system, and energetic field begin to synchronize. Instead of swinging between hope and despair, attachment and resistance, longing and fear, your inner state becomes more consistent. Calm does not mean numb. Peace does not mean detachment. It means your heart no longer reacts automatically to every trigger. You still feel, but you are no longer ruled by what you feel. In the twin flame journey, Heart coherence is what transforms chaos into clarity. Why emotional regulation is a spiritual skill. Many people assume that spirituality means constant bliss or unconditional love without struggle. But true spiritual maturity includes emotional regulation. Emotional regulation is not suppression. It is the ability to feel deeply without collapsing, love fully without losing balance, remain present without being consumed. Twin flames often struggle here because the connection amplifies everything. Old wounds resurface faster. Attachment patterns intensify. Fear of abandonment, rejection, or loss becomes unavoidable. This is not punishment. This is refinement. The connection demands that you become emotionally sovereign. When intensity turns into instability, before heart coherence develops, many twin flames confuse emotional intensity with love. They believe, if it hurts, it must be real. If it's overwhelming, it must be deep. If I feel anxious without them, it means they're my twin flame. But intensity alone is not love. Intensity without coherence becomes dependency. Intensity without grounding becomes obsession. Intensity without self-regulation becomes suffering. This is why the twin flame journey often includes periods of separation, not as rejection, but as recalibration. The heart must learn to hold love without tension. The nervous system and the heart connection. Heart coherence is deeply connected to the nervous system. When the nervous system is dysregulated, the heart feels unsafe. You may experience anxiety, emotional volatility, hypervigilance, rumination, compulsive thinking about the twin flame. These are not signs of destiny. They are signs that the nervous system is overwhelmed. True union cannot occur while the body is in survival mode. This is why grounding practices are not optional, they are essential. Breathing, presence, embodiment, and emotional self-awareness all help regulate the nervous system, so the heart can remain open without fear. Learning to stay open without chasing. One of the greatest lessons in heart coherence is learning to stay open without chasing. Chasing often feels like love, but it is rooted in fear. Fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of not being chosen. Heart coherence teaches a different posture. Instead of leaning forward energetically, you begin to stand still within yourself. You remain loving but not grasping. You remain receptive but not needy. You allow connection but you do not force it. This inner shift changes everything. Because love that is calm becomes magnetic. Emotional responsibility. Healing without expectation. Another key element of heart coherence is emotional responsibility. This means recognizing that your healing does not depend on the twin flame's actions. You stop waiting for apologies, validation, explanations, closure from the outside. Instead, you give yourself what you once hoped they would provide: understanding, compassion, patience, safety. This does not mean giving up on union. It means preparing yourself for a healthy union, not an emotionally chaotic one. When the heart stops contracting, before coherence, the heart often contracts in response to triggers. Silence feels threatening, distance feels personal, uncertainty feels unbearable. But as coherence develops, something changes. The heart stops collapsing inward. You begin to trust your own presence. Silence no longer terrifies you. It becomes neutral. Distance no longer defines the bond, it simply exists. Uncertainty no longer destabilizes you. It becomes part of the process. This is emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is what allows love to endure. Twin flame union is built on stability, not drama. One of the biggest illusions about twin flame union is the belief that it must always feel intense, dramatic, or emotionally charged. In truth, real union feels quiet. Not boring, peaceful. Not dull, steady. Not detached, secure. When heart coherence is present, love feels safe. There is space to breathe. There is room for individuality. There is mutual respect for emotional boundaries. This is the kind of love that lasts. Reflective question. Ask yourself honestly, do you want intensity or do you want stability? Do you want emotional chaos or emotional safety? Do you want to feel chosen or to feel whole? Because twin flame union does not complete you. It meets you when you are already complete within yourself. Preparing the inner space for union. Heart coherence is preparation. It is not the end of the journey, but it is a threshold. Once coherence is established, telepathic connection becomes calmer. Emotional mirroring softens. Triggers lose their charge. Love feels less urgent and more present. This is when union becomes possible, not as fantasy but as lived reality. Because two regulated hearts can meet without collapsing. Two grounded individuals can love without fear. Two coherent energies can merge without losing themselves. The purpose of the twin flame journey was never to keep you in emotional pain. It was to teach you how to love from stability instead of survival, from presence instead of panic, from wholeness instead of lack. And when your heart becomes coherent, love no longer feels like something you chase. It becomes something you are. We have explored the power of the heart as a center of love and connection, the subtle vibrations of emotion that align you with your twin flame, the telepathic signals felt across distance and silence, the instant harmony that arises when two hearts resonate naturally, the deep empathy that teaches emotional attunement, and the heart coherence that transforms intensity into calm, stable love. Now the question is, what does it look like when all of this is integrated into everyday life? This is heart-led living, a life guided not by fear, expectation, or neediness, but by presence, clarity, and love. 1. Living from the heart. To live from the heart means that every choice, thought, and action comes from a place of aligned love. It does not mean naivety or ignoring reality. It does not mean giving without discernment. It does not mean surrendering your boundaries. It means allowing the heart chakra to lead the way, so that your mind and body follow in coherence. When the heart leads, decisions feel easier. Interactions feel authentic. Challenges feel like lessons, not attacks. Emotional highs and lows stabilize. You sense guidance from within, rather than constantly seeking validation outside. In the context of twin flames, heart-led living allows the connection to exist without obsession. It creates the space where love can flow naturally rather than being forced or manufactured. 2. The power of presence. Presence is the ultimate gift you can offer to yourself and to your twin flame. When your heart is coherent, you are present in each moment. You notice sensations in your body. You notice emotions without clinging to them. You notice energy shifts without reacting automatically. This presence strengthens heart-based telepathy. It allows you to receive signals clearly and interpret them without distortion. Presence also removes unnecessary drama. You no longer need to manufacture conflict or seek validation to feel alive. Love becomes something you inhabit, not chase. 3. Integrating telepathy and empathy. As your heart becomes open and coherent, telepathic feelings no longer overwhelm you. Deep empathy no longer feels like a burden. Emotional waves become informative, not destabilizing. You begin to distinguish between your own emotions and those coming from your twin flame. You learn to witness feelings as energy rather than as personal responsibility. This awareness transforms the twin flame journey from roller coaster intensity into calm, conscious connection. It is in this space that love matures into compassionate, grounded union. 4. The role of heart breathing. Heart breathing is a simple yet transformative practice to anchor heart energy and cultivate coherence. Here's how to practice. Step 1. Find your center. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Let your body relax. Step 2. Focus on the heart. Place your attention on the area of the chest where the heart chakra is located. Imagine your breath flowing in and out of your heart. Step 3. Inhale love. As you inhale, visualize drawing in a warm, gentle light, a vibration of love, compassion, and calm, into your heart. Step 4. Exhale tension. As you exhale, imagine releasing fear, tension, and uncertainty. Let go of emotional clutter. Step 5. Synchronize with your twin flame. Even if they are not physically present, imagine your heart radiating toward them. Feel the pulse of connection. Visualize energy flowing between your hearts effortlessly. as if distance and time do not exist. Step 6. Observe sensations. Notice waves of warmth, openness, or subtle tingling. This is your heart's energetic field communicating, aligning, and stabilizing. Practice this for 5 to 15 minutes daily. The more you practice, the more your heart becomes a source of clarity, intuition, and inner union. 5. Meditation for union and presence. A short meditation can deepen your heart connection with yourself and your twin flame. Step 1. Ground yourself. Sit or lie down comfortably. Feel your body supported by the earth. Step 2. Heart awareness. Place your hand over your heart. Close your eyes. Breathe naturally. Step 3. Recall connection. Bring your twin flame to mind, not as an idea or image, but as energy and feeling. Step 4. Send and receive energy. Imagine a gentle wave of love radiating from your heart to theirs. Allow their presence to enter your heart naturally, without expectation. Step 5. Rest in stillness. Allow this flow to continue. Let thoughts arise and dissolve. Focus on the sensations in your chest, in your breath, and in your energetic field. Step 6. Close gently. After a few minutes, release the visualization and return to awareness of your own body. Carry the sense of calm, coherence, and love into your day. This meditation reinforces heart coherence, emotional balance, and telepathic sensitivity. It trains you to experience connection without attachment. 6. Living the lessons of twin flame energy. Heart-led living and meditation are not the only practices. You also need integration in daily life. Observe triggers. Notice when you feel fear, jealousy, or anxiety about your twin flame. Breathe, release, and return to calm. Own your emotions. Recognize that your reactions are yours, even if triggered by them. Practice compassionate detachment. Love freely without needing the other to act or respond. Maintain boundaries. Being heart-connected does not mean surrendering autonomy. Healthy boundaries allow love to flourish without collapse. By integrating these practices, your twin flame journey becomes a mirror of your inner evolution. You do not simply chase union, you embody it. 7. The transformational power of heart energy. When you live from your heart, connection becomes effortless. Telepathy is clear and gentle. Empathy becomes nurturing, not overwhelming. Emotions are experienced fully but do not control you. Love radiates, attracting authentic relationships, not desperate clinging. Heart energy transforms life, not just relationships. It guides your decisions, enhances your intuition, and cultivates a sense of wholeness. This is the essence of the twin flame journey. Not finding someone to complete you, but opening your heart so completely that union, internal or external, becomes natural. 8. Questions for reflection. To anchor the teachings of Part 10, reflect on these questions. 1. Am I allowing my heart to lead, or is fear controlling my choices? 2. Do I feel my twin flame connection in my chest, or only in my mind? 3. How can I integrate heart coherence into daily life beyond meditation? 4. What old patterns of emotional reactivity am I ready to release? 5. Can I love without expectation, attachment, or urgency? These questions are not tests, they are invitations. They guide you toward alignment, presence, and heart-led living. 9. Final inspiration. Your heart is more than an organ. It is a vibrational beacon. It radiates love, compassion, and presence. When your heart opens fully, you feel connection without needing constant proof. You communicate without words. You understand and empathize without losing yourself. You attract authentic love naturally. Twin flame energy is powerful, but it is not about intensity or drama. It is about alignment, presence, and conscious love. The journey is not about chasing them. It is about becoming the love that they and the universe can recognize. 10. Begin your heart practice today. Start integrating the teachings today. 1. Practice heart breathing daily. 5 to 15 minutes of mindful breath focusing on your heart. 2. Meditate on connection. Visualize sending and receiving love with your twin flame or with the universe. 3. Observe emotional triggers. Notice and release attachment, fear, or projection. 4. Reflect. Journal your experiences, insights, and sensations to strengthen heart awareness. By taking small, consistent steps, you are cultivating heart coherence, emotional clarity, and conscious love. And when your heart leads, union is no longer a pursuit. It becomes a natural, flowing reality.